Hey everyone, I hope y'all had a great week. For today's post, I'm just sharing a verse that we went over in my community group tonight. It's on the fruit of the Spirit, which is found in Galatians 5:16 through 26. We were reading it in multiple versions, and someone in the group said, let's read the Message version. And I'll be honest, in my kind of pompous and prideful heart, I was just like, ugh, I can't take that version seriously. But I was quickly humbled and healed so greatly by this version. And another friend in the group who attends a very prominent seminary made a really great point about different translations of scripture, how certain stories or passages in the Bible are very important to read in a very academically accurate translation, but in other verses, it's actually really more important to keep the tone that was intended in the verse. And if we really translate it directly, it actually can take away from the poetic tone that's really important for our heart and minds and soul to grasp. And so I really loved that, and I don't think I'm going to be so opposed to reading the Message every now and then. But anyways, here we go. I'm going to share it with you. It brought a lot of refreshment to me and my fellow sisters and brothers this evening, so I hope it does the same for you. This is found in Galatians 5:16 through 26 from the Message translation. My counsel is this: live freely, animated and motivated by God's Spirit. Then you won't feed the compulsions of selfishness. For there is a root of sinful self-interest in us that is at odds with a free spirit, just as the free spirit is incompatible with selfishness. I love that part. A free spirit is incompatible with selfishness. These two ways of life are antithetical, so that you cannot live at times one way and at times another way according to how you feel on any given day. Why don't you choose to be led by the Spirit and so escape the erratic compulsions of a law-dominated existence? It is obvious what kind of life develops out of trying to get your own way all the time. Repetitive, loveless, cheap sex, a stinking accumulation of mental and emotional garbage, frenzied and joyless grabs for happiness, trinket gods, magic show religion, paranoid loneliness, cutthroat competition, all-consuming yet never satisfied wants, a brutal temper, small-minded and lopsided pursuits, the vicious habit of depersonalizing everyone into a rival, uncontrolled and uncontrollable addictions, ugly parodies of community. I could go on. This isn't the first time I have warned you, you know. If you use your freedom this way, you will not inherit God's kingdom. But what happens when we live God's way? He brings gifts into our lives, much the same way that fruit appears in an orchard. Things like affection for others, exuberance about life, serenity. We develop a willingness to stick to things, a sense of compassion in the heart, and a conviction that a basic holiness permeates things and people. We find ourselves involved in loyal commitments, not needing to force our way in life, able to marshal and direct our energies wisely. Legalism is helpless in bringing this about. It only gets in the way. Among those who belong to Christ, everything connected with our own way and mindless responding to what everyone else calls necessities is killed off for good, crucified. Since this is the kind of life we have chosen, the life of the Spirit, let us make sure that we do not just hold this idea in our heads or a sentiment in our hearts, but work out its implications in every detail of our lives. That means we will not compare ourselves with each other as if one of us were better and one of us worse. We have far more interesting things to do with our lives. I love that part. We have far more interesting things to do with our lives than compare ourselves. Each of us is an original. I love that too. I mean, God is the ultimate artist, so each of us is an original to Him. And that's so just special and refreshing. I hope that just brought some life to you as it did to me. Have a great weekend, you guys.